I was doing a comparison about the whole argument of 4th edition is nothing but combat. That's the one you hear all the time. It's nothing but combat, nothing but combat, which I've never thought made any sense to me. And I remember seeing a comment from somebody saying that, well, you can't say that it's not all combat when so much of the book is dedicated to combat. And, and I look at that and I say, well, just because they take the time to make combat really good and make combat really cool with all these different variations doesn't mean that that's all it is. It's just that's the thing that takes the most type of explaining and has the most potential for you to have lots of little variations in. But that doesn't mean you can't do anything else in it. And I think that's the big thing that's amiss. And so prior to this, at the risk of being the 4th edition apologist, and I know I come across as that, where I'm trying to constantly defend 4th edition. Prior to the stream, I just said, hey, because I was planning on looking at the 4th edition quick start rules that came out they came out after the game had been released. I think it was October, November of 2008. They released the quick start set, the blue box quick start rules. And it had a book that was, 30 pages or so of, that was the rules, the quick start rules, along with some pre-generated characters. And with 5th edition, they released Lost Mine of Phandelver, which had a booklet that had essentially the 5th edition quick start rules. So I took a look at those and just, I got some notes that I was looking at the two books. And it's interesting because both books have, so here, let me flip over to this real quick. So this is the quick start rules for 4th edition. And, just if we scroll through, I'm going to scroll through real quick. And, if you look, so these are all the core rules that you've got. And there's 13 pages that cover the core stuff. It covers what the game is, what the core mechanic is, what the combat stuff is, how do you use skills. That's what the 13 pages are. And then it has a section on monsters, and then you get your pre-gen characters. So that's the 4th edition. You got 13 pages, and of those, 7 of those pages talk about combat, and 4 of those pages talk about skills, so non-combat stuff. By comparison, and I don't have it up here where we can look at it, but by comparison, the rules that came with 5th edition, interestingly enough, they also have 13 pages that cover those intro stuff, the basic things that you would need. And in those, 5 pages cover combat, so 2 fewer pages on combat, but only 2 pages cover skills. So 2 fewer pages about skills than 4th edition. So 4th edition had more pages about skills and more pages about combat because 4th edition had less, we'll call it fluff. 3 of the pages in the 5th edition book are full page artwork, which is nice. It's pretty. 5th edition definitely looks pretty. But, if you look at 4th edition and you look at this, what you have here, you have content. And just like the one person had, Tigress, you're saying, DM books have more content than 5th edition. You see that here. This is all content. They're quick start rules. These 13 pages are nothing but content. It tells you everything about the game. It's not loaded down with a bunch of artwork that, it can be nice and it makes it look nice, but it doesn't really help you play the game any better. But that's what the 5th edition one has. Whereas in the 4th edition one, you get content. How much of 5th edition is not combat anyway? I've been at many tables where everybody at the table is basically like, can we get to the combat faster? Can we, we're going to have this little social encounter, but we really just want to get to the fighting. So for all the people that complain that 4th edition was nothing but combat, I sure have been at a lot of tables with 5th edition where people want to just get to the combat. So, and 4th edition, while the combat might take long, I don't think anybody would argue that they put a lot of thought into making the combat really interesting. You've got a lot of stuff you can do in the combat. And the thing about non-combat is how much do you really need to say about non-combat? That's the role playing. That's the DM making a decision. You say something you want to do, the DM sets a difficulty, and you roll some dice to see who does it. You don't really need a lot of rules for that. So, yeah, you might need 7 pages of rules to talk about how to do combat because it's so precise, it's precision based. But you don't need a lot of rules to talk about just social encounters and role playing. They tried to do that in 4th edition too, and people didn't like that. They put, okay, we'll put together a bunch of rules about skill challenges. And now we'll put, so now you have rules about non-combat encounters and how to run them. And people didn't like those. So you didn't like the rules when we had rules for skill challenges or for non-combat encounters. And you didn't like it when we didn't have rules for non-combat encounters. So you can't please anybody, I guess.